Good morning, everybody. I am going to be a little bit late here at the bell. I got to take my kids to school, but wanted to cover the ETFs here for you as we are opening up similarly in the same fashion as we closed. So looking at this today, I think it's pretty straightforward, right? And if this doesn't fit your criteria, then find something else. But as of this morning, we're looking at the first target to be potentially 625, and of course the overhead of 626. That's a large resistance, right? And expecting that to break in one day, we'll see. This has also been a major rejection point, right? And as much as I want this to be a box, it still qualifies more as a range. So with that being said, if we see that leg up, again, those are your targets above. How we respond to that 626.50 ultimately will decide where we go from here. As far as a protection program, if you are long, right, because we will end up having, I think, a gap below us. It is still very much the 619 level, but of course, if we were to, and more than likely will, break out, and one thing I don't want to see is a gap up. Like if price before the bell moves up to that mark, now you got to deal with the immediate rejection, right? And so don't get caught up in that back and forth in between the two. It's, under here, you could look at a potential short, right? And then the cues out of all of the setups, I think upside, right? Still palpable at 630. That's a great target. Downside, not so much. So that's what we have for the cues. But as I was saying, right, SPY does have a lot better downside setup, I think. Maybe the upside setup, not so much. But of course, we're opening up today inside of the previous day's candles, all green candles, mind you. And we are right at that resistance of 683.30, right? So we go down into the 2 hour. Again, a lot of the times you don't need to overcomplicate things. It's this overhead resistance possible at 686, 685.90 that we would be targeting first, right? This overhead wall at 684, right? So as far as I see this morning, right, we go to the 30-minute. It's this small range, and it's a range, not a box. That is where, right, price would need to reclaim 684, break through 684.85, and then be outside of it, 685.50. So now if we did see a reversal, that would be fun. I would enjoy doing that, but of course I'm not. I don't give a shit. Like when people ask me, are you bearish? Are you bullish? Like, you know what I am? I'm ready to react. Because not every day calls for a bias unless, if you're long on something, yeah, for sure. But if you're like longer expiration. But anyway, 1, 2, 3, we're heading up for that third. Obviously, we don't want to lose anything that we've gained. We got empty space all the way back down into that gap at 676. So it'd be the easy thing to hedge. But other than that, y'all, um, as far as as far as I can see, this is bound to be an interesting rest of the week. We got the tension that we need, and that's something that even with the cues, we talked about it on Sunday. You can go back and watch that video. I talked about, especially on the cues, potentially being trapped in this range. We did that, and now we're slowly starting to kind of climb in the upwards direction. All right, so that's the cues. SPY. Lastly, IWM. Now this one's of great interest to me, especially to the downside. Again, when and where, I'll be there. I'll ready to react. But yesterday, right, told you guys I was probably going to be taking a straddle. I mean, I did. And right as we ended the day, I ended up grabbing my calls. So hopefully those are, if we do end up legging up. But the fact of the matter is, right, we're sitting inside of a nice range. And of course, popping outside of that 247.50 gives us that inevitable gap fill. Both of your ETFs, Qs and SPY, have ran. IWM has not. The risk to reward on the contracts, you could be wrong, at first and still end up being right. That being said, Upside 248.75 in the most recent price action in the lower time frame. There is empty space to a very precise target of 250. Now, obviously, any sort of retracement back down to fill the gap and a break underneath 245, I have to start contemplating empty space underneath us. All right. Now, I think we might be able to get away with this one this morning. We'll see if it will give us that shot up into 25. We took that as an earnings trade. Couple of other things on our radar. I know some of you guys took BA that decided not to go much further. But yeah, we'll see how today goes. A lot of things we saw yesterday actually ended up pulling back. A lot of individual equities towards the end of the day ended up pulling back instead of closing strong. So again, I look at the ETFs and I'm like, all right, y'all better pull the individual equities up, or we might be looking at the individual or the ETFs pulling back relatively soon as well. So, all right, y'all have a wonderful morning. Take your time. Make sure it's a good trade. Target-based contracts. Where are you getting in? Where are you getting out? Right? When you're hedging, are you looking for the downside play? Obviously, you're looking for, when you're hedging, you're looking for the downside play. So if you found the upside one, find the downside one and know where you're getting in, where you're getting out. Y'all have a wonderful morning. Be safe. I'll see you guys in just a sec.